Okay. Good morning and welcome to 3 Minutes After Midnight. I'm your host, Dr. Clark Schmidt. I know it's been a long time, and I do mean a long time, since I have posted any more videos uh, on my channel, but circumstances dictated to me that things had to get done before I could have this type of playtime. Um, been a lot of changes in my life. I'm not going to get into all of them, but my favorite animal passed on last May, a year ago this month, and in the first 3 days of June, I decided to take a 25-day train trip uh, through the southwest and western states. Had a fantastic time in those 25 days. I have told people and have mentioned to the same people that if you ever want to do traveling, take the Amtrak. It is cheap. People have asked me how much my train trip cost, and it was the original was $4,200. Um, but I decided that was just a little bit too expensive, and I brought down Amtrak down to 2250. And the reason why I did that is it costs a little bit more when you go, instead of being in coach, it costs just a little bit more if you have a berth. So I decided to get a berth only for the longer excursions, like going through Texas, um, Colorado, and and uh, and other long states. So that's the reason why I brought it down to 22, about 2250. So that's reasonable. I know that you can say. I know that people say as well. If I fly, this is not me, but these people that I'm talking to, are friends of mine. They say, well, if I fly, it's a lot cheaper. I say, yeah, but look what you're missing out. Um, you're missing out on one of the fantastic train rides of your entire life, and you get to see the countryside. When you're 32,000, when you're 30 or 32,000 feet up in the air, all you see is clouds until you start to descend, coming to the airport that the plane is going to land. So you don't get a chance to see anything. And to take a car and to drive the highways and byways, I've also, my brother and I and my sister have done that. And you figure how much gas that you have to spend or pay, like you have to spend for gas, for for lodging, for your meals, um, and so train is the only way to go. I feel that train is a lot safer. So after my train trip, um, I had some medical issues that I had to take care of. I'm feeling a little bit better now. I also was in the moving stage from my old place into where I'm living at this time. Um, so, like I said, there was a lot of things going on in my life, and that's one of the reasons why I haven't had a video or videos up for quite a while. But everything is slowing down now. And this is the rainy season, and we've been getting pretty well pounded for the last since Sunday, and it's still going to be wet for the next couple of days. So can't really do anything outside. So I decided I'm going to try to get 3 or 4 videos up for 3 minutes after midnight. I'm going to be talking about a few haunted locations up in northern Wisconsin. As you can see, one of the pictures on the screen. This is Summer Winds. Now, Summer Winds has been mentioned in a few movies on what's that? I'm trying to think of the name. Go on some ghost hunting shows on the Travel Channel. It's also on Unsolved Mysteries and a few other TV programs. I lived about 25, less than 25 miles from the location from the location with Summer Winds. Had a place up in northern Wisconsin called Boulder Junction. I'll be mentioning about 2 hauntings up that way when we swing back down. But right now, we're going to be talking about Summer Winds. Now, 2 books have come out. One in 1980, I gotta remember, 1985, 86, let's see, before we moved, right, 76, just a minute. During the late 70s, early 80s, I just quite can't remember, but I can remember the authors. One was named Johnathan Carver from Chicago, who bought the place, and also another guy who I'll think in just a minute. But anyways, the Barber book, what was called the Richter effect. And the reason why he called it the Richter effect, because it was believed is that I don't want to call him a surveyor, but a adventurer, you might say, also a scout named Johnathan Richter, who found that the lake is that Summer Winds resided on, and so he decided to build a log cabin. So actually, from a big house like this, and it extends out a little bit farther, coming out this way, which I'll show you in a minute. Anyways, is that the story goes is that Johnathan Richter had some dealings with the Indians. The Indians gave him the land, and he built on it, and he lost the title, and he lost the deed and the title, and there was legend is that anybody who tried to buy the house and rebuild it, I mean, who bought the cabin, tried to rebuild it, strange things would happen is that the paint would come off the outside wood. That means like peeling as soon as you put it on. Is that you could fix the roof and the roof would start leaking. I mean, it was just a whole bunch of circumstances to why you couldn't refurbish the log cabin. But as you can see, it was finally done. But then again, after this was done, then things again began to happen. Also, there was legends going around. Now, comes from the Barber book. Is that also legends were abound that there was vampires and werewolves and murders and just about every calamity that one can think of that happened not only on the property but inside the house itself. So I decided is that after reading the book, I decided that I was going to take a little road trip with some people, and was going to investigate it. So um, I got a friend. I got a friend of mine who stated that he visited the house or the property and the mansion or the estate. It was classified as an estate. Um, so, anyways, he said is that he would take me up there and we would do some investigating. Um, Again, back in those days, back in the early and late 70s and 80s, is that didn't have the right equipment. The equipment that I had at that time was like flashlights and candles, and I had a ball of string and aluminum foil, and I'll tell you about the aluminum foil in just a minute. Camera was the camera was a Kodak, which was what was a Kodak Instamatic, and my dad's Polaroid land camera, and that was just about the equipment. That was just about the equipment that we used when we investigated hauntings. But I'll tell you what, the equipment that I used to the other sophisticated equipment today, I feel is that the equipment that I used was a lot better. And I'll get into reasons as I tell you how we proceeded with the haunted. Um, Anyhow, let's see here. What can I use as a pointer? Back in here was the lake itself. You would follow a path going, and I don't have a picture of that, but had the lake itself where you follow a path, and the path was pretty long at the then, and if you wanted to visit the house, you could come by lake and walk up the path, and boom, there you were, looking directly at the standing on property and looking at the house. Um, you could also go inside. A lot of people throughout the years uh, have ransacked summer winds, and that was too bad. Um, and the reason why people ransacked the inside, it was believed is that who Richter mentioned, and not for a deed, but for a will. And again, this is just urban legend. Um, with a will, said that there was a box of gold coins someplace in the house itself. Now there was a few secret. No, there was one or two secret passages um, in the house, and but nobody ever found. According to people, the locals, is that nobody ever found the so-called secret passages, and nobody ever found the treasure box as well. And so the only thing that lived in there were bats. You heard the old expression is bats in the belfry? Well, there it was, bats, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of bats. And it smelled by bat crap and also by urine. Let me tell you that the inside of that mansion really, really stunk. Anyways, there was five of us that went up there on this Friday night. We left my house in Boulder around 6, about 7 o'clock, 7 o'clock, and it took us a while, 25 miles to get up to the property, plus also trying to find a parking space because um, even though the place was abandoned, there was still no trespassing signs, and also once in a great while is that you had the local gendarme come and um, um, take a look at the joint to see if any type of hanky-panky, as they say, going on. That night, we were lucky that the local authorities didn't show up. Anyways, we went inside and upstairs, as you can see, like here, like this was part of the upstairs, this was part of the upstairs. The upstairs went all the way around, going down, going this way was the servants' quarters, where the kitchen, huge kitchen. Okay. Also, where you see the bricks here, you had like a down, like a not a basement. There was a basement, and I'll be talking about that in just a moment. But down here, you had like a major, big rec room. Now that supposedly was where the gold was supposedly hidden. When they rebuilt this from the cabin into this big mansion, they left this part here, if I remember rightly, or was told, this part here was the actual Richter home, right here. Okay, this over here was like an add-on. Okay, so this was the original Richter home here, and this was like the add-on extending, like I said, extending out. Okay, so downstairs, or like in the rec room, what they said is downstairs, is that that's where the gold box was supposedly be in the wall. And let me tell you, with all the people that came in, like I said, they sure did a lot of destruction of the house, of the mansion itself, especially downstairs. You should see the walls. Some of them took like a just like a sledgehammer, and just started smashing in the walls to see if they could find this gold box. I never believed there was a gold box. But like I said, sometimes urban legends can can be true. Okay, I'm just going to say here for a moment. I'm going to try to keep these. I'm going to try to keep these talks not more less from 30 to 40 minutes, and that's the reason why I'll be checking on the time by what has been recorded. Okay, so let me get going here. So anyways, we scoured from the inside to the whole mansion itself. With the 5 people that were with me, I sent 2 young ladies upstairs. I sent one person downstairs from not the kitchen. Yeah, I would have to say like the kitchen, to where there was an actual basement. Now, the reason why I did that was because it was believed is that I forget if it was Garfield. It could have been Garfield was invited up to Summer Winds through his Secretary of the Interior, or Treasury. I can't remember who the secretary, what secretary was, who owned the place. But anyways, is that it was believed is that the two were talking one night, sitting at the kitchen table. Garfield happened to see something coming through the basement door, and he had his gun, and he shot at the so-called ghost. If anybody that went to visit the house, the estate itself, they would have seen the three bullet holes in the door, which I thought was kind of interesting. But to get back, so anyways, I sent two girls upstairs, one of my one of my investigators downstairs, and me and another investigator did something in the old living room, which was right in, I think it was right in, yes, it was right in here. It was a big living room. Like I said, I'll be showing you another picture in a moment. In fact, I think I'm going to switch to that picture once I can get to it. Oh, there we go. Okay. See, this was a double, and this was a stupid. This was a negative, bad shot. No, where am I here? It's too bad. Anyways, I think I have another one. Okay, I'll be talking about this home here later on. But anyways, is that with the with the two girls upstairs, is that I told them how to set up the equipment, which was the attack string, a wad up ball of aluminum foil, a white candle, and a flashlight. That's all we had. We only had two cameras, and I wanted the camera for the downstairs in the basement, and where this friend and I were in the living room. So they didn't have. So the two girls didn't have a a camera. Anyways, I'm talking. So anyways, I showed them how to set everything up, and I just said to keep watching the candle flame, and if it changes to a different color. If the candle flame started to flicker and change into like a blue, green, trying to think of blue, gray, green type color, and if the aluminum foil kept swinging back and forth, then there was something in the room, and they were supposed to, one of them was supposed to come downstairs and get me real quick so I could take some pictures. Anyways, there was no, where I placed them in one of the rooms, I think it was right over here, was right over here, there was no broken or open windows. In fact, I think it was the only section of the house itself that didn't have the windows broken out, like you can see here, or down here, or down here. So that's the reason why I placed them in here, so there would be no interference by any type of wind breeze, to give like a false indication that something was actually in the room with them. Anyways, as we're setting up downstairs, is that all of a sudden I hear a scream, and I'm talking about it was like a old horror movie type of scream, and me and this friend of mine ran upstairs to where the girls were, and they were clutching one another, and I asked them what the hell went on, and they told me is that all of a sudden is that the tin the tinfoil ball was swinging back and swinging back and forth, and there was like a gray color coming from the candle flame. Now you got to remember, like I said, this was the only section here that didn't have any broken windows. But also, I should have mentioned that also this section right in here is that when they were doing renovation, is that Barber, um, who I mentioned, daughter happened to be moved out a old dresser, and supposedly that I gotta remember. Just give me 1 second. Okay, yeah, I got it. Is that supposedly is that she fell against that she lost her footing. She fell against the wall, and she went in, like broke through the rotten wood. The old man, Barber himself, came upstairs to find out what the commotion was, and she was like I said, she was inside the wall now, and she said is that she happened to see not far from her to her right was a skeleton. Now, if that now again, people like write books. They like to embellish and to make it sound more interesting. But I did talk to some townspeople that told me yes, there was a skeleton a skeleton was found where Barbara's daughter fell through the wood into the wall itself. Now, um, we don't know how long, didn't know how long the skeleton was there. There were, speculation that it was probably somebody who owned a house prior, or maybe prior after that. Could have murdered somebody, could have been a marital dispute, or whatever. Um, so I did have a sneaky hunch that this right up here was actually haunted. Um, Found out by what the girls told me after they recomposed themselves is that yeah, like they said, with the swinging of the tinfoil that was hanging above them, and also with the candle flame changing its color, and they also said that they felt also cold in the room only for a moment. Is that yeah, this was this section right here in this bedroom was actually haunted. So I thought that was interesting. Now, what I've told you has been not mentioned in segments like from like I said, from Unsolved Mysteries or some other ghost um, um, programs. Okay, they never mentioned about Johnathan Carver writing the book, the Richter effect, or Jonathan Richter himself, or I mean, really gave the history uh, of the mansion. Never went back. Never went back, and got to change again. Here we go. I got to go backwards. Never went back. And you can see here, okay, haunted house goes up in flames. Lando Lakes, that's where the Summer Winds was located on. And I'm going to see if you can read it. I don't know if you can or not. But anyways, is that a bolt of lightning actually hit the house itself and started the house on fire. And as you can see, haunted house goes up in flames. And this is what it turned out to be afterwards. Um, This was all that was left of Summer Winds. What you could see here is the chimney here. I think this was a chimney over here. Here you had some brick wall that was here, and so that was the only thing that was left of Summer Winds. So, like I said, I did have a an opportunity when I lived up in Boulder um, to visit, to actually visit the house, and I'm going to have to correct something. Okay, I said it was the first and last time that I ever visited. No, it just brought back to mind is that my brother and I went up there on a Saturday morning. And I took a lot of instant Polaroid shots of the outside and inside of the home itself. I mean, I took like, oh gosh, 20 or 30 pictures. And when my parents moved down to Florida, um, they were left in the pictures were left in I'm trying to remember, in a um, dresser in the dining room, which I will show you when I get to the place that I live, which was classified as haunted as well. Um, so I thought that when my brother went back up to Boulder to clean out some of his stuff, is that I thought that he also grabbed the pictures with him. He said that he did, but then he moved from Illinois to Montana, and things got lost in the shuffle. Maybe someday he might he might find them, and if he does, he said is that he will email them to me. But anyways, that is the history of Summer Winds, and the night that that we did the investigation. Um, I think there might be a few more pictures. If I do find them, I will put them up in my next video here, and I shall move on to. I think I'm going to do my home last, and go to I was going to say Guides Inn, but go to Headwaters Resort. I think that's very interesting. I got to find a picture. I got to find the pictures. So I'm going to conclude with this video, and I hope that you enjoyed it, and I hope that you enjoyed me giving you the history of Summer Winds and the urban legend about Johnathan Richter, and so I'm going to close this out, and I will talk to you in just a few moments. Thank you.